Every networking event, business conference, and professional meetup is filled with people doing success completely backwards. They're trying to extract value instead of creating it, seeking opportunities instead of becoming the opportunity, and asking what others can do for them instead of what they can do for others. These people collect business cards like trophies and wonder why nothing ever comes from their connections. Meanwhile, the people who actually build powerful networks never attend these events because they're too busy solving real problems for real people. True influence isn't gained through schmoozing. It's earned through service. Right now, while you're listening to this, there are two kinds of people in this world. The first group makes noise. They post every achievement on social media, talk about their big plans at parties, and announce their goals to anyone who will listen. The second group works in silence. They wake up early when nobody's watching. They practice their skills behind closed doors. And they build their future one quiet day at a time. Here's what might shock you. The second group consistently outperforms the first group by margins that would astound you. While the noisemakers are busy explaining their dreams, the quiet builders are busy creating their reality. I want to share something with you that changed everything for me, and it will change everything for you too. Success isn't a loud, flashy event that happens overnight. Success is a quiet, consistent process. That happens over time. The most successful people you know didn't get there by making the most noise. They got there by making the most progress, day after day, when nobody was paying attention. Think about this for a moment. Every morning, millions of people wake up with the same 24 hours you have. Some of them will spend those hours talking about what they're going to do. Others will spend those hours actually doing it. The difference between these two groups isn't talent, luck, or circumstances. The difference is understanding one fundamental truth. Real power comes from building yourself quietly. Society has sold us a lie. We've been programmed to believe that unless someone sees us working, unless we announce our progress, unless we get immediate recognition, our efforts don't count. This is completely backwards. The truth is, your most important work will always happen when nobody's watching. Your character is built in private moments. Your skills develop in quiet hours. Your strength grows through silent struggles. Your biases will surely become when you see them fully. Let me tell you about a young woman named Jessica, who worked at a small accounting firm. Every day, she watched her colleagues leave at exactly 5 p.m. But Jessica stayed, not to impress anyone, not to get noticed, but to learn. She quietly studied advanced accounting techniques, read industry publications, and practiced complex calculations. Her colleagues went home to watch TV and scroll through their phones. Jessica went home after learning something new. For 2 years, nobody noticed. Her salary stayed the same, her job title didn't change, her colleagues probably thought she was wasting her time, but Jessica understood something they didn't. She was building herself quietly, and compound growth was working in her favor. Then something happened. The company landed its biggest client ever, a complex case that required exactly the advanced skills Jessica had been developing in silence, while everyone else scrambled. Jessica stepped forward with confidence and competence. Within 6 months, she was promoted to senior manager. Within a year, she was running her own department. Within 2 years, she left to start her own firm. Luxa colleagues who left at 5 p.m. every day were still in the same positions, wondering how Jessica got so lucky. They didn't realize that luck had nothing to do with it. Jessica had been preparing for her opportunity long before it arrived. This is the power of building yourself quietly. While others are focused on appearing successful, you're focused on becoming successful. While others are seeking immediate gratification, you're creating lasting transformation. While others are making noise, you're making progress. But here's what most people misunderstand about quiet building. It's not about being passive or invisible. It's not about hiding your talents or avoiding recognition. Quiet building is about focusing your energy on growth instead of glory, on substance instead of style, on becoming instead of appearing. When you build yourself quietly, you're operating on a completely different level than everyone else. You're not competing for attention because you don't need attention to validate your worth. You're not seeking approval because you've learned to approve of yourself. You're not chasing recognition because you recognize your own progress. This approach creates something remarkable. It creates authentic confidence. Not the fake confidence that needs constant external validation, but the real confidence that comes from knowing what you're capable of. When you've put in the work, when you've developed the skills, when you've built the character, you walk into any room knowing you belong there. Think about the most successful people in any field, the ones who last, the ones who build empires, the ones who create lasting impact. They all share this common trait. They focused on building themselves long before anyone else noticed. They understood that private victories always come before public victories. Your reputation is built on what people see you do in public, but your character is built on what you do when nobody's watching. And here's the key. Your character determines your capacity for success. You can only rise as high as your character can carry you. This is why building yourself quietly isn't just a strategy for success. It's the strategy for success. It's the difference between people who achieve temporary wins and people who build lasting legacies. It's the difference between being a flash in the pan and being a force of nature. The 6 ways I'm about to share with you aren't quick fixes or magic formulas. They're principles that work because they're based on how success actually happens. They require patience, consistency, and faith in the process. But when you apply them, when you commit to building yourself quietly, you'll develop something that no one can take away from you. The unshakable foundation of genuine competence and character. Your transformation starts with a simple decision, the decision to focus on becoming rather than appearing, the decision to choose substance over style, the decision to build yourself quietly while others waste their energy on noise. The first way to build yourself quietly is the foundation that everything else stands on. Without this, all your other efforts will crumble. This is developing unshakable self-discipline. Not the kind of discipline that comes and goes with your mood, but the kind that becomes as natural as breathing. Here's what most people get wrong about discipline. They think it's about forcing yourself to do things you hate. That's not discipline. That's torture. Real discipline is about training yourself to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. It's about becoming the kind of person who keeps promises to yourself. Every morning when your alarm goes off, you have a choice. You can hit the snooze button and start your day by breaking the first promise you made to yourself. Or you can get up and prove to yourself that you're someone who does what they say they're going to do. This single decision sets the tone for everything else that follows. Let me tell you about a young man named Carlos who understood this principle better than anyone I've ever met. Carlos worked construction during the day, but he had a different vision for his life. Every evening after a hard day's work, when his body was tired and his mind was exhausted, Carlos would come home and study computer programming for 2 hours, not sometimes, not when he felt motivated, every single day. His friends thought he was crazy. They'd invite him out for drinks, tell him he was working too hard, suggest he relax and enjoy life. But Carlos understood something they didn't. He was building his future one disciplined day at a time. While they were relaxing, he was preparing. While they were being entertained, he was being educated. The discipline wasn't easy at first. There were nights when Carlos wanted nothing more than to collapse on the couch and watch TV. but he had made a contract with himself, and he honored that contract. Every single evening, no matter how tired he felt, he sat down at his computer and coded. After 18 months of this daily practice, something remarkable happened. Carlos applied for an entry-level programming position and got hired immediately. His portfolio grew, built through consistent daily work, spoke louder than any degree could. Within 2 years, he was earning more as a programmer than he ever did in construction. Within 3 years, he started his own software company. This is the power of daily discipline, compounding over time. Carlos didn't succeed because he was more talented than everyone else. He succeeded because he was more disciplined than everyone else. He understood that success is not about making massive changes overnight. Success is about making small, consistent improvements that compound into extraordinary results. Here's how you develop this kind of discipline. Start small. Don't try to revolutionize your entire life in one day. Choose one simple habit that will move you forward, and commit to doing it every single day for 30 days. Maybe it's reading for 15 minutes. Maybe it's exercising for 10 minutes. The key is consistency, not intensity. It's better to study for 15 minutes every day than to study for 3 hours once a week. Consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds discipline, and discipline builds the life you want. The second way to build yourself quietly is to become a systematic learner. In today's world, knowledge isn't just power. Knowledge is the ultimate competitive advantage, but not just any knowledge. The right knowledge, acquired systematically and applied consistently. Most people approach learning like tourists. They sample a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but they never go deep enough to gain real expertise. They read a few articles, watch a few videos, and think they've learned something. But learning without a system is just entertainment. Real learning requires a plan. You need to know what you want to learn, why you want to learn it, and how you're going to apply it. You need to approach learning like a scholar, not like a spectator. Think about a woman named Patricia who worked as a bank teller but dreamed of becoming a financial advisor. Instead of just wishing for a career change, Patricia created a systematic learning plan. She identified exactly what knowledge she needed, found the best sources for that knowledge, and created a schedule for acquiring it. Every morning, Patricia woke up an hour early to read financial publications. Every lunch break, she studied investment principles. Every evening, she practiced financial analysis using real market data. She didn't just read randomly. She had a curriculum, a schedule, and specific learning objectives. Patricia also understood that learning isn't just about input. It's about processing and application. After each learning session, she would write down the key insights and think about how to apply them. She would test herself on what she learned. She would connect new information to knowledge she already had. This systematic approach transformed Patricia from someone who knew nothing about finance into someone who understood the markets better than many professionals. When she finally applied for financial advisor positions, she impressed every interviewer with the depth of her knowledge and the clarity of her thinking. The employers weren't just hiring Patricia's potential. They were hiring someone who had already proven she could learn, grow, and apply knowledge effectively. Within 5 years, Patricia was managing a multi-million-dollar portfolio and earning more than she ever thought possible. Here's your systematic learning formula. First, choose one area where additional knowledge would significantly impact your career or life. Second, identify the top 3 sources of information in that field. Third, create a daily learning schedule that you can maintain consistently. Fourth, always connect what you learn to what you already know. Fifth, find ways to apply your new knowledge immediately. Remember, knowledge without application is just information, but knowledge applied consistently becomes wisdom. and wisdom applied persistently becomes success. The combination of unshakable discipline and systematic learning creates something powerful. It creates a person who not only knows what to do, but actually does it. It creates someone who doesn't just have good intentions, but has good habits. It creates the foundation for everything else we're going to build together. Now we move to the third way to build yourself quietly. And this might be the most important one of all. This is about practicing consistent character development. Your character is your true operating system. Everything else is just software running on top of it. Most people think character is something you either have or you don't. They're wrong. Character is something you build. One decision at a time, one moment at a time, one choice at a time. Every single day. You're either building your character or you're tearing it down. There's no neutral ground. Here's what character really means. It means doing the right thing when nobody's watching. It means keeping your word, even when it costs you something. It means standing up for your principles, even when it's uncomfortable. It means being the same person in private that you claim to be in public. Character isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's about having a moral compass that always points in the same direction, regardless of the circumstances around you. When you have strong character, people don't have to guess what you'll do in any situation. They know you'll do what's right. Let me tell you about a man named William, who owned a small auto repair shop. One day, an elderly customer brought in her car for what she thought would be an expensive transmission repair. After examining the vehicle, William realized the problem was actually a loose connection that took him 5 minutes to fix. William had a choice. He could charge her the full amount she expected to pay, and she would never know the difference. His business was struggling, and he could have used the extra money. Nobody would have questioned it. The customer was prepared to pay, and she would have left happy, thinking she got good service. But William's character wouldn't let him do it. He fixed the loose connection, charged her for 15 minutes of labor, and explained exactly what the problem was. The woman was so impressed by his honesty that she told everyone she knew about William's shop. Within 6 months, his business had doubled. Within a year, he had to hire additional mechanics. William didn't act with integrity because he expected it to pay off financially. He acted with integrity because that's who he was. The financial rewards were just a byproduct of his character. This is how character works. When you consistently do the right things consistently happen to you. Character building happens in small moments. It's the moment when you find extra change in your pocket after a purchase and you return it. It's the moment when you're tempted to exaggerate your accomplishments on a resume and you tell the truth instead. It's the moment when you could take credit for someone else's work and you give credit where it's due. These moments seem insignificant, but they're not. They're character-defining moments. Each time you choose integrity over advantage, you're strengthening your character muscle. Each time you choose honesty over convenience, you're building the foundation of who you are. Here's how you build character systematically. Start by identifying your core values. What do you stand for? What principles are non-negotiable for you? Write them down, make them clear. Then commit to living by them in every situation, especially when it's difficult. The fourth way to build yourself quietly is to perfect your skills through deliberate practice. This isn't about practicing until you get it right. This is about practicing until you can't get it wrong. There's a massive difference between casual practice and deliberate practice. Most people practice to maintain their current level of performance. They do the same things the same way and wonder why they don't improve. Deliberate practice is different. Deliberate practice is about constantly pushing beyond your current ability level. It's about identifying your weaknesses and turning them into strengths. Think about a young woman named Angela who wanted to become a professional photographer. When she started, her photos were average at best. But Angela understood that talent without practice is just wasted potential. So she created a deliberate practice routine that would transform her abilities every day. Angela would take 100 photos, but she didn't just take random pictures. She would focus on one specific aspect of photography each week. 1 week. She focused entirely on lighting. She studied how light affected her subjects, experimented with different lighting conditions, and analyzed why some photos worked better than others. The next week, she focused on composition. She studied the work of master photographers, learned about the rule of thirds, leading lines, and visual balance. Then she applied these principles to her own work, taking hundreds of photos to practice these techniques. Angela didn't just practice. She studied her practice. After each session, she would review her photos, identify what worked and what didn't, and plan how to improve the next day. She sought feedback from other photographers, took online courses, and constantly challenged herself to try new techniques. Most importantly, Angela practiced with purpose. She wasn't just taking pictures to fill time. She was deliberately working on specific skills that would make her a better photographer. Every shot had a learning objective. Every session had a goal after 2 years of this deliberate practice. Angela's photography had transformed completely. Her work went from amateur snapshots to professional quality images that caught the attention of galleries and clients. She started getting commissioned for weddings, corporate events, and magazine shoots. The difference wasn't talent. The difference was how she practiced. While other aspiring photographers were taking casual photos and hoping to improve, Angela was systematically building her skills through focused, intentional practice. Here's your deliberate practice formula. First, identify the specific skill you want to develop. Second, break that skill down into its component parts. Third, practice each component separately until you master it. Fourth, gradually combine the components into the complete skill. Fifth, constantly seek feedback and adjust your approach based on what you learn. Remember, there's no shortcut to mastery, but there is a fast track, and that fast track is deliberate practice. When you practice with purpose, focus, and consistency, you don't just get better, you get better faster than you ever thought possible. Character and skill work together like two sides of the same coin. Character gives you the integrity to use your skills ethically. Skills give you the competence to back up your character with results. Together, they create something unstoppable, a person of both high moral standards and high performance standards. The fifth way to build yourself quietly is to build strategic relationships authentically. Notice I said authentically. This isn't about networking for personal gain or collecting business cards at events. This is about genuinely caring about other people and finding ways to help them succeed. Most people have this backwards. They think about what they can get from relationships instead of what they can give. They meet people and immediately start calculating how that person might benefit them. This approach doesn't work because people can sense when you're being transactional instead of genuine. Real relationship building starts with a simple shift in mindset. Instead of asking, what can this person do for me? Start asking, what can I do for this person? Instead of focusing on your own needs, focus on their challenges. Instead of trying to impress them with who you are, try to understand who they are. Let me tell you about a young man named Kevin who understood this principle better than anyone I've ever met. Kevin worked as a junior analyst at a financial firm, but he had bigger aspirations. He wanted to learn from successful business leaders, but he knew they were busy people who received hundreds of requests for their time. So Kevin developed a different approach. Instead of asking for meetings or favors, he started looking for ways to help these leaders solve problems. He would research their companies, identify challenges they might be facing, and send brief, valuable insights with no strings attached. When he read about a CEO struggling with employee retention, Kevin spent his weekend researching best practices in talent management and sent a one-page summary of actionable strategies. When he learned about a business owner expanding into new markets, Kevin compiled relevant market research and competitive analysis. Kevin never asked for anything in return. He never requested meetings or tried to sell himself. He simply provided value and moved on to helping the next person. But something remarkable started happening. These busy executives began responding to Kevin's emails. They started asking for his input on other challenges. They began inviting him to industry events and introducing him to their networks within 18 months. Kevin had built relationships with some of the most successful business leaders in his city, not because he was pushy or persistent, but because he was helpful and genuine. These relationships opened doors that Kevin never could have opened on his own. He received job offers, investment opportunities, and mentorship that accelerated his career by years. This is how authentic relationship building works. When you focus on giving value first, people naturally want to reciprocate. When you help others succeed, they want to help you succeed. When you make other people look good, they remember you when opportunities arise. Here's your relationship building strategy. First, identify people you genuinely admire and respect. Second, study their challenges and goals. Third, look for ways you can provide value without expecting anything in return. Fourth, be consistent in your helpfulness over time. Fifth, be patient and let relationships develop naturally. The sixth and final way to build yourself quietly is to create value before seeking recognition. This is the ultimate quiet building strategy. While everyone else is trying to get credit for what they might do, you're actually doing it. Value creation is the fastest path to everything you want in life. When you consistently create more value than you're paid for, you become indispensable. When you solve problems that others can't or won't solve, you become invaluable. When you make other people's lives better, your life inevitably gets better too. Consider a woman named Rachel who worked as a customer service representative for a software company. Rachel could have treated her job as just answering phone calls and solving basic problems. Instead, she saw every customer interaction as an opportunity to create exceptional value. When customers called with technical issues, Rachel didn't just fix the immediate problem, she proactively identified other potential issues and solved those too. She created helpful tutorials for common problems and shared them with customers. She tracked recurring issues and proposed solutions to the product development team. Rachel never asked for recognition or promotion. She never complained about her salary or job title. She simply focused on creating as much value as possible for customers, colleagues, and the company. She became known as the person who could solve any problem and make any customer happy. After 2 years of this value-centered approach, something predictable happened. The company created a new position specifically for Rachel, Customer Success Manager. They doubled her salary and gave her a team to lead. Within another year, she was promoted to Director of Customer Experience. Rachel's success wasn't luck or favoritism. It was the inevitable result of consistent value creation. When you make yourself valuable, value finds its way back to you. When you solve problems, opportunities solve themselves. When you focus on contributing, compensation follows. Here's your value creation formula. First, identify the biggest problems in your current situation. Second, take ownership of solving those problems, even if it's not officially your job. Third, always deliver more than what's expected. Fourth, look for ways to make other people more successful. Fifth, be patient and trust that value created will eventually be value rewarded. Now let me tell you what happens when you combine all 6 ways. When you develop unshakable discipline, you become reliable. When you learn systematically, you become knowledgeable. When you build character consistently, you become trustworthy. When you practice deliberately, you become skilled. When you build relationships authentically, you become connected. When you create value consistently, you become indispensable. This combination creates something remarkable. It creates a person who doesn't need to promote themselves because their work speaks for itself. It creates someone who doesn't need to compete for opportunities because opportunities compete for them. It creates the kind of person that organizations fight to keep and headhunters fight to recruit. But here's the most important part. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time, through quiet, consistent action. While others are looking for shortcuts, you're building foundations. While others are seeking immediate gratification, you're creating lasting transformation. Your quiet revolution starts today, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when you feel ready. Today, right now, in this moment, you have everything you need to begin building yourself quietly. The only question is, will you stop waiting for permission? Stop looking for validation. Stop seeking recognition. Start building. Build your discipline. Build your knowledge. Build your character. Build your skills. Build your relationships. Build your value. The world is waiting for what you have to offer. But first, you have to build yourself into the person capable of offering it. The time for excuses is over. The time for action is now. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today. Build yourself quietly. The results will speak louder than words ever could.